Hello everyone, welcome to In the Newsroom. I'm Sean Lim filling in for Eoh Jin-hoe, and we had a lot of stories going on this week, the biggest of which was the presidential transition team's wrap-up of their meetings with government agencies and ministries to get their status reports, and that's where we begin In the Newsroom. It begins now. So, hello guys.
Hey Sean.
Did you guys miss Jihye?
Well, I didn't know you were going to be here, so it's
right,
a
I think it was
surprise
like
for us.
a bit of a surprise.
Right.
So the big story this week, of course, has been the transition team and getting all the status reports from the various ministries and government agencies to advise the transition team. And Jin-joo, you've been on site at the actual location where all of these hearings are taking place, as well as Sung-hee. So there's been two of you covering this, right?
Yes. So Sung-hee was in charge of getting a summary of all the status reports that happened throughout the week, and I was in charge of writing about what President-elect Park was doing in the meantime, like meeting with ambassadors from other countries, or like setting up plans to send envoys to other countries, and all her plans for diplomacy. I was covering those kind of stories there.
But both of you guys are there at the same time. You guys run into each other. Are you guys locked in there, or is it like a whole day affair?
Well, it's packed with reporters, so it's really hard to even to go to the bathroom. So we usually stay in our seats, and Sung-hee stays at another briefing room, and I stay at the main briefing room, because we only have one seat there. So we usually talk through the MSN, like to discuss about the items we want to write, and like how we should split this item, like on that day. So. Well, we meet for lunch or dinner, but...
right. So what has been some of the highlights this week on your side?
Well, of course, it was the structural reform of the government, the plans this transition team had for the government reform. The reform measures put forth by the presidential transition team clearly reflect President-elect Park's governing philosophy of boosting the domestic economy and keeping people safe. The new administration plans to create two new ministries, one in charge of future science technology and the other of maritime affairs, and abolish three others: the National Science and Technology Commission, the Nuclear Safety and Security Commission, and the Office of Minister for Special Affairs. The new ministry will also be responsible for policies that pertain to information and communications technology. And to tackle the ongoing global economic crisis, President-elect Park will appoint a Deputy Prime Minister for Economic Affairs, a post that was scrapped during the Lee Myung-bak administration. The presidential transition team said that it will provide at a later date what these new ministries and government offices will be in charge of and how they will divide their functions within the agencies. The committee aims to have the revised bill on the reforms written and passed at the National Assembly within the month. Eoh Jin-joo, Arirang News.
So out of these like small shifts, or some people could say that they're big shifts, what do you think? Do you think it really does reflect a difference in focus, the way that President-elect Park espoused on the campaign trail? She wanted to revive the economy, also focus on getting the unemployment situation taken care of, and bring a welfare state into
As I
practice.
said, the two main focus of the presidential transition team is to secure the people's safety, and second, to boost the domestic economy. So this creation of a new ministry in charge of future science technology, President-elect Park wants to invest in R&D and future technologies to create more jobs and to set up the basis for a creative economy, quote unquote creative economy. So I think it clearly shows what President-elect Park is putting an emphasis on during the next administration.
We've also heard reports that this transition team has taken a humble attitude where they're going to be more receptive rather than go in there and basically say, tell people, what the new government is going to look like. Have you felt that on the ground?
I think although they're trying to be humble and take a low posture in receiving these reports, but the way of they're communicating with the press, media reports have been criticizing the current transition team of not being able to really communicate with the public and the press. They didn't give us how they were going to change some kind of policies or what functions these new ministries will be in charge of. Well, they said that they will give us more details about the functions the new ministries will have, but for the status reports, the details were still lacking.
Of course, the government stance or the transition team stance is that they don't want to confuse the public unnecessarily by releasing what essentially is a brainstorming session with no policy finalized. But at the same time, people want to know what the progress is. So I guess it's a delicate balance.
Reporters are probably frustrated.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Well, we have a lot to look forward to there, I guess. And so these briefings wrapped up, and now apparently they're going to be taking some advice from policymakers.
Yes, they're going to invite some policy experts to the transition team, for the divisions that need some more advice from the outside, the real world experts. So starting tomorrow, they're going to hold these meetings with these policymakers and experts outside. So we should have to wait and see how they will come up with this new roadmap they're trying to set up before the new administration take office.
And when do we expect to see the president-elect get more hands-on?
Well, it's a 5-stage process. First, it's the status reports, and the divisions go over it, and then they hand it over to a division that is in charge of managing all these other departments. And then at that division, they summarize it and they finalize. They give the last touches to the reviews that the departments made, and then they will report it to President-elect Park.
All right. Well, I mean that we have a lot of serious work ahead of us in terms of the government. But looking back on this week as well, Connie, you were able to cover a big award event designed to highlight people who really do a good job in crafting Korea's image.
Right. So I went to the CICI Awards ceremony this past week, and every year they select either a group of people, organization, or individuals who have helped boost the image of Korea worldwide. Who do you think won this
Gee, I
year?
wonder, 2012, who was the biggest cultural icon?
Well, I know the
He's
answer.
kind of round. He has a dance.
Oh yeah, Jisun's
it.
doing it.
Yes.
The horse dance.
Yeah, so it
So
was
Psy.
Psy, right. And so I talked to the group, and they said for the first time in a long time, they survey both foreigners and locals, and they have their own research team who kind of goes through different statistics on who made the buzz in around the world, and it was Psy on all
So
sides.
they survey a bunch of different opinion polls, or
Yep.
do they do their own surveys?
They do their own survey with foreigners, locals, and they have their own team. And on all fronts, they all picked Psy as the #1 person who have helped put Korea on the map this
Wow.
year.
It's an all too familiar song and familiar dance. It's not Psy, but it's little Psy in this special Gangnam Style performance at the CICI Awards ceremony in Seoul. Psy's Mini-Me performed the hit song on Tuesday in honor of the real Psy, who was presented with the Korea Image Stepping Stone Award. Given by the Korea Image Communication Institute, the award was humbly accepted by Psy through a video filmed in the US. The institute also recognized YouTube with the Korea Image Stepping Stone Bridge Award for its role in raising the popularity of Gangnam Style and other Korean media content known as Hallyu.
Considering the variety of winners in the past, the organization says it does not know who or what could take the top honors next year. However, it did note that gadgets like smartphones could be a possible candidate. Connie Lee, Arirang News. So last year, the Pyeongchang Winter Olympic Committee actually won, and then years before that, it was like Pororo, UN Chief Pan Ki-moon.
Right, that's why we had that huge photo in the office.
Right.
It was for the same
And
event.
singer Rain won these awards. Yeah, this award
Probably
also.
back when he was like the Time
It was like
Person of the Year.
2007, yeah. It was a few years back. And so they had Psy to win the Korea Image Stepping Stone Award, and a lot of people came to the award ceremony.
So where was the
it
award
was
ceremony?
Their 10th anniversary, and it was at the Grand Intercontinental Hotel in Gangnam.
Of course, that's the Gangnam Style.
거기 이자스민 seems available.
지금
Yeah, it was a fun event. It was a lot of people. I got to meet with some of the ambassadors that I had met earlier, like a year ago, for other stories. So it was fun just catching up with them. And unfortunately, Psy himself could not make it because he's actually in the U.S. Working on his music.
But then
Yes.
Little Psy was there.
Yes, little Psy was there.
The one in the music video?
Right, if you remember.
Right in the beginning, in the playground.
yeah.
Yes, the little kid, I thought he was amazing in the music video, but apparently he's just as popular and just as busy as Big Psy, as the original Psy. Yeah, so he was there to do a special Gangnam Style performance with Psy's original back dancers.
So did he do the whole song?
He did, and more. And more. He did. He's actually known for, he actually won like a contest, like a talent show contest here
Right,
in
sort
Korea.
of like the like Korea's Got Talent or something.
Yes, yes. And so he won with like, Michael Jackson impersonations and dancing. Is awesome. And he did that number, and he also did Gangnam Style. And before he went on, I was actually able to talk with him and interview him, and he's super energetic. He kind of has that like, old man look and so serious gangster look. He has that pose, but when he talks, he's just
Like
a
a little kid.
9-year-old
Yeah.
boy. Yes.
Right.
And so he was really excited. He said he doesn't get nervous anymore performing. And I asked him like, how many times have you done this dance? He was like, I don't know. I've done it so many times that I don't even know anymore.
Right.
And so yeah, so it was fun. 반갑습니다. 혹시 오늘 떨어요? 아니요.
많이 다녀봐서
제일 좋아하는 포즈. 네. 감사합니다. 오늘 공연 잘하세요. 감사합니다.
한국 문화가 경쟁력 있는 콘텐츠임을 확실히 각인시키고
굉장히 진심으로 해왔던 것 같고 특히나 해외 무대에서 할 때 이 가사에 의한 교감이 적은 상황에서
제 아들이 너무나 유명해져서 상당히 기쁘고 또 행복합니다. 오빠 강남스타일 강남스타일 낮에는 따사로운 인간적인 여자 커피숍 이고 전에 포착해서 성숙해 보이지만 볼 때 노는 여자 이때라 싶으면
what will take the top honors next year. Considering the variety of winners in the past, the organization says it does not know who or what will take the top honors next year. Connie Lee, Arirang News.
Yeah, I read a report and there was an analysis that the Gangnam Style actually upped Korea's the country's image by 3 levels or notches, from 18 to 15, and that just by the one song.
Right.
Psy.
But not only Psy won an award at the ceremony, we had the Image Budding Youth Award, which is Eoh. He's actually a music prodigy. He's only 12 years old and he's amazing. He also did a special performance at the ceremony. He plays piano and he actually won a young pianist Chopin competition last year, and he was the youngest winner. And he was really cute when he accepted the award. He was like, there's so many other talented and older people who could have won, but I did. And yeah, he's just a regular old 12-year-old boy, but when he plays, he's you know that he has talent. Yeah,
Right.
It was amazing.
Well, before all of this, Gangnam Style turned Korea's culture image into what it is right now. We had Taekwondo as one of the iconic, cultural aspects of Korea. And she said earlier in the year you did a whole series of Taekwondo in Latin America, and now I hear you're creating a documentary out of that.
I am. It's been over a month since I've been to the North and Central America covering the Taekwondo stories, and now I'm actually producing a 30-minute documentary out of it.
Yeah, we've seen some of our other reporters like Hanul and Jie compile a documentary out of their series of news reports, and yeah, they're staying up all night, doing all of the editing and the footage, and so. But I mean, has it been that intense for you as well?
Yeah, most definitely. I come on the weekends and I also work the whole week just getting out the footage, what picture I'm gonna use and whatnot. And it's actually totally different from how we used to plan out and make out the news packages, because the outline or the blueprint is totally a different story, and it's way longer and you need more footages. And now I'm just I'm ecstatic that I'm actually producing a documentary, but at the same time I'm also a bit stressed because it means a lot this year.
So now that you get to see all this footage from your trip a little bit after the fact, is there anything that struck you from what you see?
Yeah, because I actually had some save interviews, especially for my documentaries, and there were a 55-year-old Brazilian who was a participant in the Para Taekwondo Games, and he said, "I'm really happy that I practice Taekwondo," and he mentioned en español, en tercera edad. That means that he's preparing his age after retirement. And I also saw a lot of young athletes, but seeing a middle-aged and some older senior athletes who are just as interested and just as enthusiastic. And that was I think he was the most impressive one. And other than that, I also got flowers from those para taekwondo athletes who had no arms, but then he came up to me with his flowers under his armpit, and then I was so moved and impressed with how those people are just as same as we are. I'm in the city of Mexico, the capital of Mexico, and our second where Olympians are born, trained, and inspired. I'm going to meet some athletes who actually participated. Taekwondo is now aiming higher to expand its sport base around the world.
China last June 9th.
We're west of Edmonton, so we're only 3 hours from Jasper.
For me, it's fun. I get to do a lot of fun things and travel.
Is there sort of an overall theme to the documentary?
Right. We had the Latin America as a specific region to cover this time around because Taekwondo is giving hope to like all athletes all around the world. And in the London 2012, they actually did a great job garnering like more medals than ever. And that's one of the reasons we picked Latin America, to give more hopes to the athlete there and to actually highlight how they approach this level in terms of in athletics. And also, our documentary is going to air in like late January into early February because that's at the time the International Olympic Committee members will going to visit. They're going to be in Korea for the Pyeongchang Special Olympics. And we are hoping that they're going to watch the documentary too, just to see and acknowledge how popular and how inspiring this sport is.
All right, well, very cool. We have that to look forward to. And of course, you're probably going to cover the Special Olympics from Pyeongchang as well.
Nice.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. I think you guys had a very memorable week.
Yeah. Good to see you, Sean.
Yeah, it was good to see you too. And there was another unsung hero in this week's coverage of the Presidential Transition Committee, and that's our reporter Hwang Sung-hee. So we're going to take a listen to see what she thought about the week's unfolding events.
Hello in the newsroom. I'm out at the Presidential Transition Team's headquarters at Samcheong-dong. As you can see behind me, security is quite tight around here, and you can only get into the premises by showing a special media pass. Thousands of reporters are working around the clock to bring the most up-to-date news to their viewers. As for me, I think it's been the most hectic week for me working as a reporter. I've been following the policy briefings of 46 government ministries and agencies, and most of them seem to be based on how to carry out the campaign pledges made by President-elect Park Geun-hye. Now, the committee has wrapped up its week-long collection of status reports, and they have begun holding policy meetings with experts. Now, these meetings will be held throughout the week next week, and I'll be here to bring you the most up-to-date news on these meetings, so stay tuned to Arirang News.
Il va passer là, les autres,